So this is perhaps the weirdest part of the, release the documents court trial that I've seen so far. I've been covering secondhand because Steven Crowder's team is really working hard on getting these Nashville documents released. Just so you kind of know where we are, there has been a court proceeding underway late last week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or something like that, on whether or not we could actually get the full documentation of the individual who did terrible things, who targeted a church and an elementary school, who identified as trans, like 9 out of the last 10 people who either executed activities like this or wrote about them. In case you missed my video on Friday, I know a lot of people did. There was another individual who was a biological male who identified as biological female that idolized this individual in Nashville and had their own 129-page manifesto, was only stopped by the fact that a brave friend of theirs turned them in to the police. Somehow, I'm supposed to believe that the families don't want it released. And somehow Taylor Swift is involved in all of this? I don't even understand. Grieving families have claimed that they own the copyright to the full handwritten confession of the loser that did what they did. They are arguing before a Nashville judge that confession and other documents should never be publicly released because no good can come from it. I disagree with that. I think that there are a lot of good things that could come from it. In particular, maybe they say something about why they did what they did. Or maybe they say something, I don't know if you all remember this, but remember there were certain pages that did get released. And in one of the statements, they said that they almost got caught. Remember that? What if the whole I almost got caught thing was that some Fed stopped them and let them go? I'm not saying that's true. I'm just saying, what if that's in there? Don't you think the people would want to know? I mean, they literally said in the documents that they almost got caught. So what does that mean? Did the local PD almost catch them and then let them go? I feel like that would be pretty interesting information for people to know. I think a lot of good could come from knowing why they almost got away. How did they almost get caught? Why didn't they get caught? Why didn't they get arrested? Why weren't they, under surveillance? I don't know. Did somebody in a suit show up at their house and encourage them? I don't know. But that's just one sentence of what sounds like hundreds of pages. Now, the families are saying that they own the copyright to these documents because after the incident, their parents, the parents of the loser that got ventilated, signed over all of their possessions to the family, essentially because they knew that they were going to lose a civil court case. So they just said, well, you can just have whatever. You can have whatever they owned and you can sell it and make $12. Not going to bring your kids back, but it'll avoid a lawsuit, apparently. The family's claims come as both city and the FBI are both fighting to stop the confession and potentially information about mysterious notes and numbers found on their body. What did that mean? I suspect those documents will tell us. Why is the FBI trying to prevent the cryptograph or whatever, whatever the meaning of all this? Why are they trying to stop that? Why is the mayor trying to stop the release? Why is the mayor threatening to sue Steven Crowder for releasing those pages? Why did the mayor or the police chief put 10 different police officers on reassignment after those pages leaked. I think that it's pretty obvious that there is something in there that they don't want us to know. To me, and I've been told behind the scenes, that this lawyer that is supposedly representing the family doesn't actually represent all the family's opinions. What if the documentation says specifically, wow, ever since, I'm just saying, what if? I don't know. What if it said, wow, ever since I started taking these SSRIs, I started feeling funny and I started having these thoughts. Or I went and talked to my therapist and they said that, I should get on these drugs. And now that I'm on them, I start having these. What if? I don't know. There feels like there could be 1,000,001 possible reasons why these should come out. So for them to come at it and say, well, no good can come from this. How could they possibly know? Have they read all the documents? And if they've read them, how come I can't read them? Now, following the incident, Metropolitan Police Chief John Drake said that his force had recovered a manifesto, as well as hand-drawn maps in the car, and they said would eventually be made public, but they never were. Now, both city police and the FBI say the material shouldn't be released because the information could damage any potential investigation, which again is a lie. Because there is no investigation. The person who did it is gone. There was no accomplice. Or was there an accomplice? Was there an accomplice and did they work somewhere important? Did they, I don't know. I can't know these things. I'm not saying that it's true. What if they did have an accomplice? What if they had an accomplice and they worked for a 3-letter agency? I don't know that. And I'm not implying that. I don't know. Now the families also have joined the fight to stop their release. They claim that because of they got Aubrey's estate, that estate includes the manifesto, but it doesn't. That is an evidence. But they are now saying that therefore, because they have the estate, that they own the copyright. According to Fox Digital attorney Doug Pierce, an attorney for the plaintiffs in the case against the city, say you can't just assume there is copyright interest on any particular writing. The only way they could get copyright protection established is if they would have shown the documents in federal court. In other words, they have to let the cat out of the bag. Every day the public is being denied the right of access, he said, adding that Hale was clearly the only suspect, and there are obviously no pending investigation that the release of the document could potentially disrupt. The families, on the other hand, argue that no good can or will come from the release. I'm sorry. This will sound cold, and it is cold. But I will, it's going to sound cold, but it is cold. Okay? You don't get to say that. You don't get a say over whatever documents get released to the public. You just don't. Okay? It's not your decision. I know that losing your child is something that I hope no one ever has to go through. And I'm sure that what they have gone through is absolutely, positively horrifying. But you do not get to decide what is made public. You just don't. In their argument, they wrote, quote, "No one is more traumatized or has suffered more than the families." I agree. And no one can claim a remotely similar interest in whether or not the writings be released. Again, you do not, unfortunately, right? You don't get to, that's not your job. You don't get to say whether or not I get to see that. It's just not, it's not the, you know, that's not how this works. And what's wild is that I wanted to grab this other quote from the parents. I wanted to make sure that I'm not sure if it's the parents or the attorney, but they literally brought Taylor Swift into it. Okay? In this, it says, despite immense pain, I implore you to serve what little justice you can. Free speech lawyers. I wanted this. Here we go. Lawyers argued Wednesday that they own the copyright to the writings because Hale's family turned over the estate to the victims' families after the incident. Okay, fine. Right? Quote, this is what they actually said in court. Imagine us going to Taylor Swift's residence and they collect Miss Swift's writing and found 10 new songs. The family's attorney, Eric Osborne, told the court, well, we are in that same position as Taylor Swift. What? This is copyright and it shouldn't be public. So do the families want to sell the documents? Is that what this is about? Is that what all of this is about? The families want to sell this for profit? Thankfully, Judge Miles seemed unimpressed with the copyright argument, saying that everything written down is not automatically copywritten. This might be a federal court issue, she said, but if everything written is copyrighted, then nothing can be public record. They literally tried to say, oh, well, it's just like Taylor Swift. It's just like releasing an unreleased Taylor Swift song. Didn't you get it? This whole thing gets weirder and weirder by the day.